Mood.
Would you believe me when I tell you, you are the queen of my heart? Please don't deceive me when I hurt you, just ain't the way it seems. Can you feel my love, buzz? Can you feel my love, buzz? Can you feel my love, buzz? Can you feel my love? Would you believe me when I tell you, you are the queen of my heart? Please don't deceive me when I hurt you, just ain't the way it seems. Can you feel my love, buzz? Can you feel my love, buzz? Can you feel my love, buzz? Can you feel my love?
It's not my moose, but it's a wild animal. Get the away from it, you idiots.
Let it be wild. Don't have to like.
Jesus Christ, you guys must be the dumbest people I've ever met in my life.
Go ahead, touch it.
Go ahead, try. Go ahead, try. See what happens. See what the happens.
See how long that leg will go.
Get the away from the moose.
A little closer.
It's the moose though.
A little closer.
Go on.
You guys are idiots.
Get him.
Yeah, get him.
Yes.
Get him. Get him.
It ain't my moose, but it'll lift you up. I'm sitting here up in my truck, watching you win your darling war. If you wake up at all, you're waking up sore. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. The mantlers there, they ain't just there for show. Gonna put it up on your Instagram page, moving that suit and him all in a rage. The mantlers there, I mean it's time to go. Heading out to the national park, rolling down the back way off in the dark. You might not know what walks out on these old dirt roads. Might hear and snort some eyes in the night, might come turning out and give you a fright. You might even drop your load. It ain't my moose, but it'll rock your world. He'll run you down, you'll be tossed and twirled, watching you win your Darwin Award. If you wake up at all, you're waking up sore. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. Gonna put it up on your Instagram page, booping that suit at him all in a rage. Them antlers there mean it's time to go. Heading out to the national park, rolling down the back way off in the dark. You might not know what walks out on these old dirt roads. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. It ain't my moose, but it'll mess you up while sitting here up in my truck, watching you win your Darwin Award. If you wake up at all, you're waking up sore. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. Gonna put it up on your Instagram page, booping that suit at him all in a rage. Them antlers there mean it's time to go. Heading out to the national park, rolling down the back way off in the dark. You might not know what walks out on these old dirt roads. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. Gonna put it up on your Instagram page, booping that suit at him all in a rage. Them antlers there mean it's time to go. Here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. Gonna put it up on your Instagram page, booping that suit at him all in a rage. Them antlers there mean it's time to go.
In the morning when I leave my den, I'm moisturized with the tears of men. Stir my tea with a crucifix. I'm an ugly, nasty, call me in the evening when I'm on the rag. I just rip out a couple of American flags, take a nice hot bath in the blood of the rich. I'm an ugly, nasty, call me I try to think, but it hurts my brain, so I have an abortion or find champagne. I'm a Jezebel, I'm a wicked witch, I'm an ugly, nasty, call me Weekends when I want some fun, castrate a man, take away his gun, drive a classic car into a ditch. I'm an ugly, nasty, call me Well, I know I am, but what are you? Some fascist bootleg Nazi tool? A whiny boy with a tiny dick, or a dumb fuck redneck backward hick? Did I get it right? Did I peg you yet? Maybe we don't know who we ain't met. Maybe nobody wins, but the already rich. If you're a dumb redneck and I'm a commie.
Can you hear me now? Good. Good morning, my beauties and bees, and welcome back to Live from the Hive. Why is that pointing up so high? It's supposed to be more. Wait, no. There we go. You can see my messy bag. So I literally just rolled out of bed. Last night was a kind of a late night. We played some games with Dr. Ben. And BB, and who else was there? OA was there, and LF, that's Overprotected Atheist, and Lord Falconis. It was Lord Falconis' birthday. We had Stool in the house. It was pretty fun. and that was on Dr. Ben's Twitch channel. So if you want to see me playing, we played the story game because Jackbox wasn't working, and drinking sangria with my friends. You can go check that out. Good morning. And then I'm trying to hit the pool, but it becomes soup in our nice little warm pool. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to say good morning to all the people in the Hive already. You got How to Roll an Asteroid, James Nordhoff, Greg Hartwick, Stephanie Helms. Good morning, Sasquatch Secrets. Nikki, hey, yeah, me and Nikki had lunch last weekend, and she was telling me all about the area too. So, yeah, we are going to explore. We are going to explore, and we're going to go do some fun stuff around the city while I'm here. So look forward to that. I mean, I already did the Rose Garden earlier this week. Some people liked it, some people didn't. It didn't have very good quality. I think I'm going to go back there and just record a video and then publish that instead. So if you want to see that, put a flower in the side chat, and I will try to get that up. I do have some of it that I started recording before I decided to go live, but I would need to go back and get more shots of the different roses because there's just a lot there to take in. But yeah, if you're interested in that, let me know. If you're not, it's fine. Just, I mean, it's cool. I get not wanting to look at flowers. Look at the trees. Lost their membership. Oh no. Can somebody help out? Yeah, if you can help out at all. If you want to gift some memberships, if you want to join the Patreon, if you want to become a channel member, please do. Now is the time because I could really use the support as I recalibrate my life here in a new location. So whatever love you can spread my way, it will go towards making sure this and things like the transpositions continue to be available across the board, because I like to be able to do my work. This is what I consider my work. Well, not this. The transposition is actually what I consider my work, but this is my therapy session with you people. You all are all my therapists, and I go through the monsters of my childhood in CrypticCorner, and then the frustrating conspiracies I've dealt with as an adult in getting weird with it, and I'll wrap things up with appealing to my inner child with some fuzzy animal or something, and today's no different. And we got a red ghost today as our animal. Do you all know what the red ghost is? If you don't know what the red ghost is, you're gonna find out today, but you got to stick around to the end of the show because I talk about Bree's bestiary at the end. Which, if you're gonna come back, let's see. Right now it's 8:44. So if you wanted to come back, you would. Oh, the apostate sisters are here, and Ember's here. And Robert Madewell, Captive Desk. More people keep popping in. I guess, yeah, I should have waited to say my good mornings to everybody. But anyway, I digress. I don't even know what I was talking about. But we do need to get to CrypticCorner. So, CrypticCorner today is going to be a good one. It's a classic, but I think it's one that maybe some of you haven't heard about. I first heard about it on Monster Quest. But I'll see you guys over on CrypticCorner. Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I am your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today we have a classic from the Monster Quest of my youth. Maybe Monster Quest couldn't be called my youth. Maybe it could. I don't know. I was in my late teens and early 20s when Monster Quest came around, but I thought Monster Quest was just the best thing ever, and I watched it every night. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't make any plans tonight because Monster Quest is on, and I don't want to miss what Monster Quest might be about. It's always about something silly. Oh, Robert Madewell, thank you so much for joining the Hive. Welcome. Yes, you little cryptic creeper. I love when my cryptic creepers come crawling in. Mwah. It's great to see you. And the show Monster Quest, sometimes they were good and they did good research. I would really recommend their episode on the Greenland sharks in the St. Lawrence River. Excellent. It's almost journalistic. And some of them are nonsensical, like the one about giant feral dogs in St. Louis. What? No, that's not a thing. I spent a lot of time in St. Louis. There's no giant feral dogs. I got family and friends in St. Louis. I'm sure if there were giant dogs prowling the streets at night, they would let us know. But this one is more along the lines of like a folk story, but it's tied to real events. Sort of reminds me of, well, it's like, and it takes place in North Carolina. I was about to say it's like sort of like Mothman, but it takes place in North Carolina. Go figure. Because today we are going to be talking about, where'd you go? We're going to be talking about the beast of Bladenboro. And we're going to let this channel Streets of Silence take us on that trip. They have about 3,700 and some subscribers, so not doing too bad, but they have videos on all sorts of creatures and events and UFOs, and what else do we got? Alien woods encounter, yeah, but today they're going to take us on a journey with the beast of Bladenboro. Oh, don't start playing yet. Oh, hold on. Let me get this fixed up. Mercy. There you go. That should fix it. All right. Maybe not. Hold on. Maybe not. What are you doing? Properties.
"70 years
There we
ago,
go.
a town would be terrorized by a mysterious creature. As a series of mysterious and vicious animal attacks shook the community,
And you know, we don't love anything more around here than mysterious creatures. Mysterious creatures are the foundation of Cryptic Corner and the life now. There's so many channels now, by the way, that have Crypto Corner or have a segment called Crypto Corner now. Do not fall for them. They are not the original. There's one called one that's actually, I like his content, Little Water or something. And then there's another one that's like a podcast team, and they all stole the name of my show. Now, I don't have it like copyrighted or anything. I have Hiveside copyrighted, and I own rights to Hiveside.com and all that good stuff, thanks to generous donations from supporters like you. But there are a lot of channels using that name now. Actually, I was in Nikki's side chat the other day, and I saw somebody with CrypticCorner in their name. I was like, hey, that's me. But I've been doing this for almost 3 years now. So anybody who comes around now is just a follower. All right. Back to the Beast of Bladenboro.
Speculation grew rampant as to what the beast could be. As stories began circulating, the national media picked up the story, with thousands of hunters taking up the challenge to hunt and kill the creature.
Ember pulling a Lydia out there. I myself am strange and unusual creature.
After the events unfolded, the creature would be nicknamed the Beast of Bladenboro. Bladenboro is a small town located in the southeastern section of North Carolina. Located around 140 miles east of Charlotte, Bladenboro is a
That does not give you any idea of where Bladenboro is. So, as always, I am prepared to supplement because that was just like a big blob that took up like a 90% of the state. So this is the eastern United States. I almost said western. I don't know what I was thinking. And you get down here towards the southern part of North Carolina. This is the same swamps that the only places in North Carolina where there are alligators are down here, right? Most of North Carolina is alligator free, but there's some down here. But there's all this great swampland. There's Lake Waccamaw, and all around here is all swampland. But there's this little town of Bladenboro in the middle here. And in Bladenboro, we have swamp over here. You got Bryant Swamp, comes all the way up to Town Square. Look at that. Look at that. That swamp is there. This is like the center of town. That swamp is right in the middle. It comes all, and then over here, this is all swampland too. You got more Bryant Swamp down here. Got a mill pond. So it's like completely surrounded by swampland, which is maybe ripe habitat for a late surviving eastern cougar. Maybe. Let's see.
Historic farming community, known for its earliest days for its turpentine and lumber. Located around 8 miles from Bladenboro, Clarkton, North Carolina residents would be the first to witness the mysterious being. There, in the winter of 1953, on December 29th, a dog would be aggressively attacked and killed. Scared and confused witnesses would report seeing a strange creature that was sleek, black, and about 5 feet long. Only 2 days later...
That is one of the interesting things about the eastern cougar is that a lot of times actually almost half the time it seems like they were reported as being black, but yet we have no black pelts or anything, no examples, not even any bones of an alleged black panther. There's just, in North America, the only black panther would be a jaguar, and the only place where jaguars live is in the Southwest, which would be Arizona, New Mexico, maybe California, and a little bit of Texas. Hopefully not this part of Texas, though. I don't want to get mauled by a jaguar in the Franklin Mountains. But those are the only big cat, and the ones that live up here they've never been melanistic. The jaguars, all the melanistic jaguars in North America are in Mexico, like southern Mexico, because melanism doesn't do good in a montane desert habitat. It's just not a genetic characteristic that takes hold. The Republicans are the swamp, yeah. Somebody says swamp pragmatic crystal feels like I'm challenging her swamp supremacy. No one swamps like southern Louisiana, girl. You know that. You know that. All right. We have Ember. Are these the swamps that Nancy Mace came from? Yes. These are the swamps of Nancy Mace. Pretty sure I saw Nancy Mace's house right there, Ember. Says, look at the trees. I didn't know there were jaguars that far north. Yes, there's 8 resident jaguars that are monitored and tracked in that live in Arizona. They're residents, and they do travel into other areas, into other states sometimes, mostly into California, but because it's in like sort of western Arizona. I think that they may have been sightings in southern Nevada, but I'm not sure, so I don't want to say that. But I know for sure Arizona has had sightings, that California definitely has had sightings, New Mexico has definitely had sightings, and historically in Texas they were here. They were part of the Texas fauna, but they've been wiped out since the 1830s here. I don't think there's been a properly recorded or accurately recorded jaguar sighting in Texas since like the 19th century. But sometimes they'll get jaguarundi, which looks sort of like a small black puma. Sometimes people report those as black panthers.
New Year's Eve, Bladenboro Police Chief Roy received a call about strange activity on the farm of Woody Storm. Storm had 2 dogs, which were mutilated by something large and powerful. The dogs' bodies had been completely drained of blood. In the coming days, more stories around the beast started pouring in, with a variety of strange activity and unexplained sightings. All over the county, Chief Forrest...
Now, what are we looking at here? To me, this looks like a leopard. Its rosettes are really faint, though. Yeah, I think that's a leopard.
was overwhelmed with numerous reports of dogs being slaughtered. People describe the creature as like a bear or a panther that was 3 feet long, 20 inches high.
Now, a bear definitely makes sense. I have friends and family in the Carolinas, too. Not in the swampy part of Carolinas, in the mountain part of the Carolinas. And they have bears galore. Like, bears crawl out of their ears. Matter of fact, one of my friends just posted a video of a big old fat bear crossing their property recently. At least showing that things are bouncing back from the hurricanes that hit that region.
With a long tail and a cat's face. Other witnesses reported hearing dreadful
Morning, John.
screams from the being coming from the swamps surrounding the town. Many reported it sounded like a woman with a knife stuck in her back.
Which is kind of what you hear about when regarding like a cougar, right? They make that distinctive woman screaming sounds. Cougars don't roar like big cats. They're small cats. They're not big cats. So they actually mew too. They make all the sounds that your little house cat makes, with a little more reverberation, and they have a distinct scream that they can do as well.
Local resident D.G. Pate was sitting in a service station when he witnessed a dog.
Oh, hold on. Before I get too far into this, let me show you all what a jaguarundi looks like, just in case anybody doesn't know. This is a jaguarundi. They're adorable. Sometimes people call them otterhead cats, but they do have little tiny heads. But so you can see how when you see them from a distance at different angles that someone might mistake it for a panther. They do have very pantherine-like faces. like and I'm not saying that the beast of Bladenboro was a jaguar Undie by any stretch of the imaginations. I think it was well, I'll save my ID until the end, but
Get attacked by the creature and eventually pulled into the woods. On January 1st, the bodies of 2 more dogs were
wait, what did you
discovered.
just say?
Like before, the
Firth?
pulled into the woods. On January 1st, the bodies of 2 more dogs were
I think it was supposed to be
discovered.
first, but
Like before, these dogs have
I thought I misheard him for a second.
been drained of blood.
Yeah, don't
The next night, on January
boop the small head. It's like it's a tiny little cougar is what they're like with a little head. Cougars kind of have small heads too compared to the big cats. Like a cougar's skull compared to a leopard's skull, it's a lot shorter.
2nd, 1954, a farmer called to say that his dog had been savagely mutilated.
I had jaguar undies, but I always mistakenly called them leopard print. For shame. For shame, Patty. Is that Patty? I think it's Patty. I heard somebody say, or saw somebody say Patty earlier. Did you know that the Mayans predicted the world would end in one of 4 ways? Fire, flood, earthquake, or rain of jaguars. Yes. Yeah. I am walking proof that there are actually cougars in your area, though, John.
Up with the reports. The next day, Police Chief Roy Forrest
Hold on, let me try it again. Is that good? Did I cougar right?
searched for the creature with his dogs, but the dogs were too scared to follow the trail. While Chief Forrest was out, 2 more dogs were found dead.
You'd boop a chupacabra, Robert? Do you know what I would do with Mothman?
Shockingly, an autopsy was performed on one of the dogs, and it was reported that there wasn't more than 2 or 3 drops of blood in him. Horrifically, the dog's bottom lip had been broken open and his jawbone smashed back. As Bladenboro had a small
Morning, Maya.
police force, Chief Forrest began recruiting local hunters and soon would reach out for help. On January 4th, seasoned hunters began searching for the creatures, with the 2 parties splitting up. The first was Forrest and about 10 other officers. There was also the second group.
No, I wouldn't go for a I have an age minimum Stuami of they got to be at least 26. Before I'm dating anybody, I don't date children. That would be a waste of my time. And it'd be kind of bad for them. I'm not. Yeah. Anyway.
This group was from Wilmington, North Carolina, and had traveled to Bladenboro at the request of Chief Forrest. Reportedly, this group tracked the beasts for around 3 miles in the swamp. During this time, the press got wind of the story, and it went from a small and regional news to national news. Bladenboro was overwhelmed with hunters coming in, eager to kill the beast. Over 800 men descended on the
I
town.
think you all do have monkeys down there, Sumami. You're the wild monkey man. Are you the one that they're like, there's monkeys in Florida, and it's just Sumami walking to the gas station to get cigarettes? Is that what's going on? I'm trying to be the wild monkey man in my region, says, look at the trees. Yes. We got all kinds of wild monkey men, and then Captive Desk always is the grass man. The Grass Man Chronicles, if you're interested. And then we have, when Nikki's here, Nikki's the Sasquatchologist of El Paso. of West Texas.
Town from all over the country. A
Throwing
fully armed
coconuts.
pack of fraternity brothers from UNC Chapel Hill came with the goal of putting the beast head on their wall. On January 5th, the first attack on a human was reported. Miss C.E. Kinslaw heard the sound of a
Remember when we covered the Beast of Javudon a few, it's been about maybe a little over a month ago. This reminds me like a modern version of that. Like everything, all the little details of the story and the hunt and everything. Yeah, but it'll tick over, Dave. Give it time. I probably the something of Arkansas, but I don't know what that'd be.
whimpering dogs.
Arkansas has the folk monster, the Legend of Boggy Creek. Remember that? It's funny that movie is played out like a documentary, but the music, like the folk music, which is like old like backwoods music, freaking slaps hard as hell. The soundtrack to that movie, Legend of Boggy Creek, is just fantabulous. My favorite song on there is what's Albert Crabtree. Yeah.
Outside of her house. As she went outside to see what was going on, Miss Kinslaw saw a large, cat-like creature hurl towards her. Terrified, Miss Kinslaw screamed, and her husband ran outside to defend her. Something her husband did must have frightened the beast, as it scurried off into the forest quickly.
Look at PC out there with freaking dropping links to everything I'm talking about. Girl, you are on top of your game. PC has Swamp Witch powers, though.
That day, Forrest and other hunters were hunting through the swamps, but were unable to find the creature. The next day, Forrest and the hunters devised a plan to trick the beast. They planned to tie up some dogs and lure the beast in. However, the plan was never implemented. On January 3rd,
Leave them dogs alone. Bigfoot was walking their pet jaguar. Gotta be a black jaguar. I'm so happy Maya made it in this morning. Last week she was running around, running errands and stuff. So she wasn't in here with her sharp wit. Welcome, Maya Atkinson. And yeah, I know doggos is bait. I can't even. My heart aches. Leave them puppers alone. They don't deserve that.
13th, Luther Davis, a local farmer,
That's as much information as it is a warning from Maya to all the trolls out there. So, just to let you know.
trapped a bobcat 4 miles from the city and shot it in the head. Woodrow Fussell, the mayor of Bladenboro, told newspapers at the time that the beast of Bladenboro had been found and killed. However, immediately questions began as to how such a small cat could have mutilated and killed the dogs. That same day, Barry Lewis, professional hunter, killed a bobcat inside the county. Some newspapers reported Lewis had killed the creature responsible for the mutilations.
Well, okay.
After
So a bobcat can kill a dog. I mean, it's not out of the question. If they can get their bobcat jaws around that dog's throat, they're gonna end it. And they're gonna try to end it quick. A bobcat that maybe got good at preying on dogs could maybe, but. Again, I'm not a big fan of the bobcat theory. I think that the sightings, especially the fact that most of the sightings say it was black, kind of discounts a bobcat almost completely.
these two killings, both the mayor and chief called an end to the hunt. There were concerns over safety, and the town wasn't equipped to handle all the visitors. After a week or so, life returned to normal. The hunters left town, and the reports of the killings abruptly stopped. Over the years, there has been much speculation as far as what the beast of Bladenboro was. Some believed it was a Carolina panther, a species of large cat that had lived in the area until the early 20th century, but was now thought to be extinct. In the 1950s,
Carolina
this would have
Panther.
only been 20 to 30 years.
Carolina Panther is not like its own subspecies, or it's more of a. It was more of a race. Like, it was what they call it with animals, the land race. And they are the ones that allegedly have had a lot of this black phenotype that we know is just genetically is supposed to be impossible to exist, which I love. The Eastern cougar, black Appalachian black panther, Ozark howler, all these big black cats in North America just freaking fascinate me. Because we shoot lots of pumas, and lots of pumas end up on the side of the road, but none of them are ever black. Now, at night, with their camouflage, with their dark grays and tawnies that cougars have, right? In the dark, they can look black. So maybe that's the situation that we're seeing when people see a regular cougar at night. But I have people that I love and trust tell me that they've seen black cougars. And it's hard to say that they're all. Yeah, there's like the Carolina Panthers football team. It doesn't even have its own. It wouldn't even have its own wiki. You have to go to look it up. You have to go to the cougar wiki, and you have to look at junior synonyms, because it's not even like a real subspecies. It did have a subspecies name, I think. Let me see, and that's Puma concolor is the scientific name for cougars, and that's all cougars across North America. There's no second species of cougar. But what was the eastern cougar's extinct. I guess I could bring this over here and show you guys. Hold on. Let's see here. So the yellow area is where we're extinct at, right? So this is, I thought there were more cougars in Alaska. I guess not, but they get all the way down to the tip, or they used to get all the way down to the tip of Patagonia, Tierra del Fuego, but not anymore. They're extirpated now. But this was the eastern population, right? We're in your state. Yeah, we're in Bladenboro, North Carolina. So, if you look, they had all these different subclassifications, but none of them actually stick around. You know, there all of these subspecies. The only true subspecies now is recognized as the Florida panther, which on that map we were looking at is this little red area right here. And that's a unique, distinct population. They're like half the size of any other cougar population. They are dwarves. Dwarves among pumas. The only ones that are even close to that small are the Amazon basin puma. We is the Hive. We is always the Hive when I'm talking about we collectively, because we do this show together as a family. We don't I don't just do it by myself. You guys are here along for the ride. I'm just the pilot that drives us through Panther
After the
Country.
thought extincted. Perhaps a group of panthers survived, lived deep in the swamp, and were reclusive. In this narrator's opinion, this seems like the most likely outcome. Others believed it may have been a coyote. Still, others point out the vicious way the animals were attacked.
Now, this is also reminiscent of Weakfoot from the Beast of, it was the Ghost of Kramer Island, but what was the original name of it? Then there was a Disney version of it made where they actually painted the cougar black. It's wild. Let's see if I can find that for us too. Walt Disney's Black Puma that never was. Yeah, Shocker. All right, I visit Shucker's blog from time to time because he covered this. I actually sent him a thing about this years ago. The Walt Disney and the Black Puma that never was. I think we've watched this here before, maybe. But let's see. Hey! I'm gonna mute it just to try to avoid getting any kind of copyright thing, because Disney.
Weakfoot.
Yeah. There we go. Now, if you look, this kitty has been painted black because they can't find them. Yeah, we are way off in the swamps here. Yes. They can't find one naturally, so they had to paint this one. Now there's certain scenes where you can see where the collar was on it. There, yeah, you can see right across the throat there. You can see where the collar was on it. And generally people report sightings of black eastern cougars that have a cream-colored underside still, just like a regular. Like a regular puma has a lighter underside. It's what do they call that? It'll come to me. Usually I think about it with like sharks and dolphins and stuff, that they have the white bellies and then the gray tops. God damn it! There's an ecological term for it that's escaping me. Homeboy trips and falls and throws his gun. I wonder if there's like glass between them there. But then the doggy appears and plays with the cougar. The painted cougar. It's black, painted black. And they just get like little tiny clips of it. You can't see the collar marks there though. Some angles you can. Oh. And then he's gonna unload on the kitty, but it gets his puppers. And the kitty runs off. But that's The Ghost of Cypress Swamp is the name of the movie. But the book was, I think it was, Cypress Island. Anyway, back to The Beast of Bladenboro.
While a panther is surely capable of crushing a skull, neither it or a coyote has ever been reported to drain the blood of its victims. It should be noted that the beast of Bladenboro shares a striking similarity to El Chupacabra. El Chupacabra is another
A
cryptid.
striking similarity, you say? The only thing that I see in common with the two of these cryptids is that they're both supposed to be sanguine, but drinking what's the word? What's the proper terminology? Hematophagous. I'm not sure how the proper pronunciation of it is, but blood drinkers, right? If that's the only thing they have in common, are they really that much? And are they really that similar at all? I mean, a mosquito and a vampire bat both do that too, and they're nothing alike.
Which has been reported in Central America and Texas. El Chupacabra is said to drain the blood of its victims and savagely mutilate its victims. Both the size and color are very close between the two. The beast of Bladenboro gets its name from the sign that was hung up under the bobcat killed by Luther Davis. That bobcat was strung up in the center of town with the sign underneath it stating, "This is the beast of Bladenboro." So was the beast of Bladenboro an undiscovered cryptid, a panther, or other large cat, or perhaps a coyote? We may never know, but like so many other cryptids, theories.
The chupacabra does translate to goat sucker. You are absolutely right, apostate sisters. Poopacabra would be, I don't know, poop goat. Cabra means goat. Chupa means suck. The chupacabra, but the chupacabra I've never seen described as a feline, like ever. It's always been described as a either like an alien creature with like quills and compound insectoid eyes and mandibles to suck blood, or the Texas version of it is the mangy, the coyote or fox with mange, basically, or in some cases a raccoon with mange. Or a bear. I think our friend here's done.
Will continue to surface.
All right. So let's see here. We're gonna get back into the swamp because I want to explore this area a little bit more and show, kind of how rural it is. And like I said, all this over here, it's all swamp. Swamp. Bryant Swamp. As far as the eye can see. Let me grab my little guy, and we're going to drop down into the swamp. Yes, sirree, Bob. There we go. All right. So, actually, this one's not too bad. It's tinted pretty well on the sides. Keeps wide shoulders so that you can see critters standing on the side of the road. I like that. I wish that they would just put that across the whole thing, though. It's just what it is. So it's pretty deep, pretty thick on both sides here. And you see it runs all the way back. Look at that. It's immense. And even between even in that's what it is kind of a green city though, like even towards the middle of town. Well, let's see, where's the middle of town? This would be up over here. But look at that, there's just swamp everywhere. It's like It's a little town built on islands among the swampland. Everywhere you look. Well, everywhere you look, there's a church too. But go figure, right? Oh, and Nancy's here too. So we have another apostate sister. Good morning. All right, John, you take care. Yeah, so that's the Beast of Bladenboro. All right, let's go back to Shocker's blog here and just go through this real quick. Because a lot of people still come to me and say, no, black cougars are just a thing, right? They're really not. It's not, at least not a known thing. Time to debunk another crypto controversy, though in this case, it's not a deliberate hoax, merely a mixture of confusion and absence of the required facts. As I've documented elsewhere on Shucker Nature, physical evidence for the reality of melanistic, all-black pumas, puma con color, aka cougars, mountain lions, painters, you could go on, catamounts, Florida panthers, lots of different names for them. In North America is conspicuous only by its absence. Certainly, large all-black cats, often nicknamed panthers or black panthers, named more correctly applied to melanistic specimens of leopard, Panthera pardus, have been frequently reported from many parts of the United States and Canada too, but none has ever been made available for scientific examination, resulting in a confirmed identification even outside of North America. I only know of 2 verified dorsally black, ventrally paler pumas. They had a black area down their back, which may have been a neonatic condition, because if you look at a baby puma and how they're colored. Anyway, where was I? Okay. One shot in Costa Rica, the other Brazil. I know of no verified all-black puma from anywhere, so what do we have in the following video clip, the one we just watched, which was the Ghost of Cypress Swamp. Several times lately, correspondents have drawn my attention to a certain brief clip of film which keeps appearing, disappearing, and reappearing on YouTube. It's back again at present, so view it while you can here. Judging from the comments present beneath it on YouTube, viewers seem to think it shows a genuine film of a genuine all-black melanistic puma attacking and killing a dog. The reality is very different. For reasons that I shall give below, this is clearly not a genuine all-black puma. It is simply a normal one that has been dyed black all over in order to resemble North America's elusive mystery black panther of cryptozoological acclaim. Nor is this a real non-fictional video either. It's merely a clip from the 1977 Wonderful World of Disney television movie entitled The Ghost of Cypress Swamp, starring Jeff East and Vic Morrow. A massive lifelong Disney fan, I used to watch this series avidly as a youngster, as well as equally excellent predecessor, Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color. And as you'd expect, I can still remember seeing the Black Puma clip from this particular movie, though I have to confess that prior to rewatching it on YouTube in relation to the Black Puma segment, the rest of it was somewhat of a haze now, almost 40 years later. Curiously, although shown in England, it has apparently never been released in the USA. its unfamiliarity, therefore, possibly helping to explain why clips from it featuring the cosmetically created black puma have been mistakenly assumed by some online viewers to depict a real scene featuring a real black puma. The whole movie can be viewed on YouTube here, which is a link. Yeah, I'm not gonna drop that, but yeah, if you want, you can look it up if you want to find it. It actually contains two such clips. In the first clip, the one that attracted the online comments by viewers assuming it was a genuine film, beginning at 2.47 minutes into the film, the cat kills a youth's dog, the youth played by Jeff East. Then the second clip at 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 55 seconds, it attacks the youth's new dog. This clip continuing with a brief break during which the youth runs home for his gun. For the next couple of minutes, before the dog is rescued alive and well by the youth, who then shoots the cat dead after it attacked his father. There are also several briefer clips of the cat stalking a deer, prowling through the swamp, etc. For the movie's general storyline, here's the plot synopsis accompanying its YouTube video. Set in the swamplands of Georgia, his dog is attacked by a panther called Weakfoot. Later, he is captured by a wild man living in the swamp and believed to be dead. So why do I not think this all-black puma is genuine? In a few clips in the film, the black dye has seemingly rubbed off or has been licked off of the puma from parts of its face, or had not been fully stained to begin with, especially around the eyes and on the mouth and nose, revealing its normal paler fur. As already noted above, the only confirmed pumas were dark dorsally but paler ventrally, not uniformly black. They were not melanistic pumas. And if the cat had truly been a black puma, it would have been so valuable and rare that it would have been one of the biggest and most famous stars in Hollywood in its own right, as famous as Lassie or Rin Tin Tin. So, as a film cop always says at the denouement of a crime case, move on, people, nothing to see here. Yeah, and Shucker is pretty good at being thorough on these cat mysteries, right? Shucker's kind of the cat guy. That's his cryptozoological specialty is to, he does like all cryptids, but big cats and mystery cats are kind of his thing. He's the one who brought like the Kellis cat to the forefront. He's the one that did all the research on that, the rabbit head cats, all these strange Scottish Highland hybrids, I guess is the best description for them, which are, you go back to the cat She, which was the fairy cat of Scotland. And then obviously we get into the teak harem, and there's some coverage of that from not this last October, but the October before. I had a whole segment about that, and I actually tried to get Carl Shucker to come on for our 90 years of Nessie with Dawn and Thomas from Wild World and Nikki and Dave, but he was apparently he's not doing his health wasn't doing too well. But let me catch up on the cryptic cat conversation going on in the side chat. Let's see here. I have a big cat story from when I lived in Missouri. It's not that interesting. I lived in Missouri too for most of my life. Melanism is very common in smaller cat species like house cats. Yeah, a bobcat, house cat hybrid can be melanistic. They look like a black bobcat. Actually, let me see if I can find a picture of a black bobcat for us. They live in Florida too. Melanistic bobcats. Here we go. That's the one I'm looking for. It's not super impressive, but it's interesting nonetheless. Let me see. Pull this on over. Looks about like that. Anyway, but melanistic bobcats are a thing. They're pretty rare, honestly. Obviously not as rare as a melanistic puma by any stretch of the imagination, but we work with what we got. All right. So what do you guys think about the Beast of Bladenboro? Because my opinion is that maybe it was a late surviving eastern cougar. I don't think it was black if it was. Or it could have been, it could have been a melanistic bobcat. But what are the odds of a melanistic? Because a melanistic bobcat would have to have domestic cat. Generally, what they think anyway, genetically speaking, is that they would have to have some sort of domestic cat ancestry to have that specific genetic trait, which would also make them smaller because domestic cat phenotypes, right? Smaller body size, which would make it more difficult for them to kill people's dogs because you don't hear too much about cats killing dogs, house cats killing dogs. So, I don't know. Mass hysteria, you think? That's what a lot of people say about it. Yeah. Let's see. Wondering if I can say my orange cats is amelanistic. Amelanistic? Interesting. It lacks melanism. Does it have pink eyes? So the opposite of melanistic is albinism, which is the white pigment and lack of pigmentation. My kids say orange cats all share one brain cell. Why does that seem true? I love orange cats. I had a big, fluffy, friendly orange cat named Lucky when I was a kid. I loved him to death. He was like my bestie. Black leopards from Doba is gorgeous. The famous picture was taken in India. Yeah. Tortoise shells have about 2 brain cells, says Logan Fisher. Are we cat shaming? Let's see. Could have been coated in black swamp mud. Just saying. Yeah, if it's living in a swamp, it's a good chance that. And cougars do thrive in swamps. As again, we gotta, gesture to the Florida panther, which is a denizen of the Everglades. Yeah, lewistic is a condition where there's partial albinism. That's lewistic, yeah. And then erythristic is with the red pigment. And you'll see that in it really shines in insects because they turn pink, but in other animals they just turn kind of gingery. Cougars can live anywhere, I think. Yeah, they are very versatile animals. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm gonna wrap up Cryptic Corner here, but don't go anywhere because we're visiting the Bermuda Triangle next. And why would you miss that? I've not covered the Bermuda Triangle yet, and I'm finally covering it, and you're gonna leave now? No. So we're gonna wrap up Cryptic Corner here. So for everybody watching this on Cryptic Corner Friday, thank you for sticking around. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. All right. Now, Like Winnie the Pooh when he became a little black rain cloud. Exactly. I'm just a little black rain cloud. Oh, I'm doing all right, Dee. Some days are better than others, but I'm hanging in here. I am surviving. I hope everybody else is doing good too, and if not, I hope you have a network of support that'll help you do better. Let's see. So, yeah, the Beast of Bladenboro is a fun one, but I'm ready to hop over and do some Bermuda Triangle. But I'm gonna have an intermission here real quick because I gotta run to the bathroom. That's my little bathroom right there, and then I will. I'll be right back. So enjoy my intermission.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Joint Forces, I am here today to inform you that a number of unidentified flying objects have appeared over many parts of our country. Though their exact origin remains to be fully determined, the FBI has informed me that it is very likely that these are visitors of extraterrestrial nature. I advise the American people to remain calm, not fall into panic, and wait for further announcements. We shall overcome this threat with confidence and vigilance. May God protect our souls.
Hello, my beauties and bees. Who is ready to get weird with it today? Because we have a fun one. A classic. I'm doing classic stuff, trying to just get my my catalog all built up with all the OG 14 topics. And today is no exception because I am visiting one of many triangles, but maybe the most famous triangle. And I'm excited to finally be covering it. We're going to cover all the triangles and stuff, but we're going to start right here with the... Hold on. Where are we? We're going to start right here in Bermuda. And this is the channel we watched before, the In-Betweens. I like this lady's narrations, is why I'm here. But so keep up the good work, and we'll continue to give you stuff.
We can't find West. Everything is wrong. We can't be sure of any direction. Everything looks strange, even the ocean.
December 5th, 1949. A group of 5 fighter planes takes off from their base in Fort Lauderdale for a routine training exercise over the Atlantic Ocean that becomes anything but routine. They are never heard from again.
I've never seen anything like this, man.
It's true. The 1960s and 70s are known as 2 decades of weirdness. The children of
We've never stopped being weird since the 60s. I mean, every generation's weird.
Who came home from World War II were becoming adults with a sense of security not known in the U.S. for decades. Yes, the had dawned, and young people started looking...
Butters is a rare orange female cat. Most female or most orange cats are male, like 92% or something. We looked it up a couple weeks ago in Gather, which yeah, we hang out in Gather, so come hang out with us in Gather sometime too. Bundy Ranch. Hey now, we're still weird. Yeah, Bree. I'm weird. Look how weird I am. I'm up at 8:30 in the morning talking about giant mystery cats of from the 1950s.
Outside themselves, trying to make sense of the universe around them, growing entire movements like Scientology, Earth Day, and pet rocks. Little too much time on their hands. Amid these quests for answers to the unexplained, a then little-known writer, Vincent Gaddis, writes an article
You need to post pictures of your snake. If you have a little cute corn snake, I need to see pictures of it. I'm just saying.
February 1964 edition of Argosy magazine, highlighting a strange area off the coast of Florida where an unusually high number of ships and planes had gone missing. Articles had been written about this area before, with documented cases of strange disappearances occurring as early as the 1880s, but his title, The Deadly Bermuda Triangle, captured the attention of the masses. The article proved to be so popular that the next year, Gaddis expanded this article into a chapter.
You know, this is where, like one of the most heavily trafficked ocean areas in the world. Just saying, so that more ships would go missing there is just statistics.
Of his new book, Invisible Horizons. If that name sounds familiar, he and his book, Invisible Horizons, is featured in 2 of our past videos, on the SS Orang Medan and on the Philadelphia Experiment. Links to those videos in the description below.
We'll have to do the Philadelphia Experiment soon. I'll get to it, I promise. It's on the list.
Add to the growing interest in a seemingly cursed area right off the coast of the U.S., Charles Berlitz's book, The Bermuda Triangle, and Richard Weiner's book, The Devil's Triangle, both out in 1974.
That's a completely different Devil's Triangle than the one I'm familiar with, babe. Just saying.
You have yourself a full-on craze. For those of you who were too busy painting your pet rock in the 70s who don't know what the Bermuda Triangle is, it's a roughly 440,000 square mile triangular shaped area of the Atlantic Ocean between Miami, Florida, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the island of Bermuda. Some people even say that the Miami-Bermuda line is actually the east coast of the US, but tomato, tomato. And this area is rumored to be the home.
Yeah, we encompass the entire East Coast. Is that the Titanic Heart of the Ocean necklace? Is it? Let me see. No way. No, it's very similar though. The pendant's upside down, or the pendant would be upside down for the Heart of the Ocean. It's the same kind of necklace design though. Like, the Heart of the Ocean looks like that. So it's very similar to what she's wearing here.
Of a disproportionately high number of ships and airplanes going missing. Now, the biggest jewel in the crown, so to speak, of these reported collections of disappearances in the Triangle is Flight 19. On the afternoon of December 5th, 1945, a squadron of 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers take off from Fort Lauderdale on a routine training mission. Their task is to complete navigation problem number 1, which is a fairly simple navigation and bombing exercise that will take them out east from the coast to a place called Hen and Chickens Shoals, where they will drop their bombs, then north for a little bit before returning back to Fort Lauderdale. The mission leader is
I should go grab my tin whistle and play some Celine Dion for you. Because I believe that's a tin whistle, not a flute, in that song. I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it's a tin whistle.
Navy Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor, who has over 2,500 flight hours, as well as a tour in the Pacific theater of World War II under his belt. And the other pilots are still in training, but they are far from novices. The 14 men head out about 2:10 in the afternoon.
Right, I don't know how it's disproportionately high. To me, that just seems like that's how it correlates to the traffic. It's like, well, we're going to talk about and we'll talk about some of those intersections and stuff, the famous intersections here soon too, famous highways and things that are allegedly have more crashes or disproportionately high crashes. It's like a Texas sharpshooter fallacy, sort of.
Gorgeous weather. Drop their bombs between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, and then turn to begin the second leg of the journey, when things quickly get weird. Chatter between the planes seems to indicate that both of Lieutenant Taylor's compasses are on the fritz.
Both my compasses are out, and I'm trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm over land, but it's broken. I'm sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down. And I don't know how to get to Fort Lauderdale.
The Keys? How is that even possible? Their position has been triangulated to be somewhere north of the Bahamas, nowhere near the Keys. And another plane is heard to say,
I don't know where we are. We must have gotten lost after that last turn.
Efforts to help the squadron find its way back home continue for hours, with each radio transmission getting weaker and weaker until nothing else can be heard. One of the last transmissions that is heard talks about them getting low on fuel, with Lieutenant Taylor instructing the other pilots,
when the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together.
The idea being that if they all ditch into the water close together, they make a bigger target for the rescue team to spot. And by this time, a rescue operation was absolutely underway. Any vessel...
So, this is sort of the cornerstone of the Bermuda Triangle story, is the Flight 19 disappearance, because there was a lot of military aircrafts involved with it. There was a big rescue mission. It was kind of a big deal. Kind of cemented. It was the Kurt Cobain to the 27 Club, right?
In the area, military or merchant is put on alert to look for the wayward planes.
And that's got to be scary and for everybody involved that, you know, their squad leader or whatever got them lost. Ooh, let's go down there and party with Amelia Earhart. Now, Amelia Earhart disappeared in a very similar area of the Pacific, but a lot of the theories about her, I guess it's the Polynesian triangles where she disappeared at, but that she may have been stranded on one of the Pitcairn Islands and eaten by coconut crabs, which is a pretty vicious way to go down.
And 2 PBM-5 Mariner planes are scrambled to head out and start searching. Unfortunately, by now, the sun has set and that picture-perfect weather did not last. So not only did the squadron probably ditch into...
You say Magnus 3 times, Pragmatic Crystal, and Dr. Tapioca Weasel should appear. If you mention magnets...
high waves and rough seas, but the rescue planes are flying straight into it as well in the dark. But I guess the triangle is not yet satiated, because 20 minutes after takeoff, one of those mariners goes radio silent. A merchant ship off the coast of Fort Lauderdale radios in that they just witnessed a burst of flame in the sky in the same area that the Mariner is supposed to be. She and her 13 rescuers are never heard from again, and neither are the 14 members of Flight 19. The Navy lost 27 servicemen in an 8-hour period. In the following 5 days, the Navy searched about 300,000 square miles of ocean.
And I believe that's the most people lost in any kind of non-combat situation at one time, I believe.
For all 6 missing planes, but not 1 square inch of debris is found from any of the planes. Now, Flight 19 is far from being the first incident of high strangeness in the triangle. Even Christopher Columbus writes about having compass issues as he sails through the area. Documented cases go back into the 1800s, with cases like the Ellen Austin. The Ellen Austin is a merchant schooner on a routine trip from London to New York. Along the way, it runs into another ship.
So there's if you look though, the
that's told from London to
the path from London to New York doesn't seem like it would take you through the Bermuda Triangle. It just doesn't seem like that's where it would go.
New York. Along the way, it runs into another ship that's totally fine, but missing its entire crew. Woohoo for them! The law of the sea says finders, keepers. So the captain of the Ellen Austin, Captain Baker, assigns some of his men to climb aboard the empty ship and pilot the salvage ship back to New York with the Ellen Austin. Before they hit the U.S., the 2 ships get separated in a hurricane that's screaming through on its way to slamming the coasts of Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia. By the time the days-long storm is over, the salvage ship is nowhere in sight. Captain Baker sails around for a few days looking for the ship, and against all odds, he actually finds it. As the Ellen Austin rolls up on it one more time, the crew is again gone. So Captain Baker assigns another crew to pilot the ship.
That's pretty wild that 2 crews would disappear on that. I mean, the search the Bikini Bottoms, oh goodness, but that 2 crews would have disappeared within like a week's time.
This time the guys say, "No way, that thing is cursed." Well, he must have done some hard bargaining because he finally got another crew on the ship, and the 2 ships are on their way once more. However, opposite to the hurricane, this time the water goes so still that both boats are brought to a standstill and a fog rolls in. By the time the fog lifts, the salvage boat is nowhere in sight. This time, Captain Baker listens to his men and sets sail for anywhere but there. Then there's the story of the Star Tiger.
Okay, so on that one, it really seems, I'm not trying to throw shade, but it really does seem forced to loop a trip from London to New York in with the Bermuda Triangle, because that's not in the Bermuda Triangle. It's just not. It's north of the Bermuda Triangle. And it goes to the Sargasso Sea. And the Sargasso Sea has about as much of a reputation as the Bermuda Triangle, all things considered. It's famously tumultuous ocean. Hurricanes go through there every season. So, yeah. The Sargasso Sea is no place to mess around.
And the Star Ariel. Both planes are British South American Airways Tudor 4 model planes. The Star Tiger takes off from England on January 30th, 1948, with 31 people on board. The pilot radioed in that he expected to arrive.
Bye, Patty. Have a good one. You gotta run. Look forward to seeing your snack.
In Bermuda at 5 a.m. But the plane never made it. Almost a year to the day later, on January 17th, 1949, the Star Ariel takes off from Bermuda on its way to Jamaica with 20 people on board. Pilot radios in that everything is as smooth as glass. His next transmission is not so smooth. Air traffic control picks up a garbled message about switching to a different frequency, and that's the last thing they hear. No bodies or wreckage is ever found for either plane, and South American Airways promptly stops manufacturing the Tudor 4 model. During World War I,
so it's the overarching factors that this plane was obviously having. I mean, I shouldn't say obviously. The overarching factor seemed to be this plane design. I don't know if there was something specific about it, but like if it got hit by certain updrafts or something, if it caused it to plummet straight down into the sea. I don't know, but
The USS Cyclops is tasked with sailing to Brazil with coal to refuel Allied ships. On its way back home, with 309 people on board, the ship leaves Barbados and is never heard from again. This disappearance is the single largest loss of life in U.S. naval history not involving combat. December 28, 1948, an airborne transport DC-3 airliner carrying 29 passengers and 3 crew members is 50 miles south of Miami. It radios air traffic control to let them know, hey, we're almost there. But the transmission is received in New Orleans. So, obviously...
Oh, I remember this one, yeah. So, how is this Bermuda Triangle? We're in the Gulf of Mexico. We're closer to Mobile, Alabama than the Bermuda Triangle here.
Obviously, they somehow got off course, but the plane never lands anywhere and no wreckage is ever found. The Carol A. Deering...
That's not the Bermuda Triangle, though. That's the Gulf of Mexico. Why not stick to stuff that happens in the Bermuda Triangle?
Is a 5-masted schooner that on January 31st, 1921, is found run aground in the Diamond Shoals near Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, with her crew nowhere in sight.
And again, outside of the Bermuda Triangle, too, because unless you say, oh, yes, it incorporates the eastern coast of the United States, but then you could rope in. Well, right here we're in the outer shoals, so you gotta get the great ship from the Pilgrims' great ship that went out and never returned. This really big ship that they built and went out to sea, and it was never seen again.
An FBI investigation into the wreck rules out multiple theories as to what happened, including piracy, domestic communist sabotage, and the involvement of rum runners. Okay, I think you get the idea. It's
in the Pacific Bikini Atoll. Yes, I guess you'd call it the Isle of Bikini, but yeah, Bikini Atoll. That's why they're greedy crabs and mutant starfish. Yeah, they're all radiated.
Is just the tip of the iceberg. There are many places online you can go to look for more extensive lists of mystery if you choose. Maybe I'll even do another episode to cover more of them. Also, it's not even just boats and planes that are at risk in the Triangle. Great Isaac Lighthouse is a 151-foot tall lighthouse built in 1859 in London for the London Exposition of 1862, after which it is disassembled, shipped to the tiny Bahamian island of Great Isaac Cay, about 20 miles northeast of the Bimini Islands, and
at least it's in the Bermuda Triangle this time. We're 12 minutes into a 31-minute video, and so far, at least a third of these have been outside of what is traditionally considered the Bermuda Triangle.
Assembled. As an aside, this lighthouse has a legend from a ship that wrecked on the island in the late 1800s, and the only survivor was a baby boy. Locals say the boy's mother, who came to be known as the Gray Lady, still appears occasionally, wailing and looking for her little boy. That legend aside, the lighthouse is...
Ooh, I love a ghost story, though. Yeah, I do like that. The ghost wailing on the shores near the lighthouse.
Manned by 2 men whose job it is to keep the light shining. But in early August of 1969, a passing ship...
Oh, I like her whole setup is pretty choice, in my opinion.
...notices that the lighthouse isn't lit. A crew is sent to go check on the 2 lighthouse keepers, only to discover that they're gone. Now, the only way on and off this island is by boat, so it's not like they just decided to leave. Now, I'm certainly not saying that all of these disappearances are due to paranormal causes. Obviously, some are just random acts of nature.
Ooh, we need to cover the Flanagan Lighthouse disappearance too. That's a really interesting mystery. Are y'all familiar with that?
of the fatal kind. But for those that are a step above being able to be explained by nature, there are a few theories of things that might be going on that we just don't understand. One of those theories is hex clouds. Using satellite imagery, meteorologist Dr. Randy Cervini has discovered these weird hexagonal-shaped cloud formations. Or if you look at the images, they look more like hexagonal absence of cloud images. Now, these things are between 20 and 50 miles wide and form over rough weather and are thought to be formed by microbursts. Microbursts are fast-moving jets of air that rocket down
And she's got a... Okay, I'm gonna let her talk.
From higher in the atmosphere and can be as destructive as a tornado. So if your little 20-foot yacht gets hit by one of these microbursts, you very well could be toast. Another theory is the Hutchison effect, also known as electric fog. If you read through some of these accounts of airplanes that have experienced something unusual in the triangle, very often they talk about flying through a fog and all of their instruments going haywire. Well, a guy named John Hutchison has put forth the theory that the fog...
Electric Fog sounds like a great band name, though, I'm not gonna lie. Bring me McCune in the electric fog. Yeah, I'm playing bass.
is actually a cloud formed by electromagnetic fields. So when a plane or a ship passes through it, the electromagnetic fields kind of glom on and follow along, making the instruments go nuts. John claims to have reproduced the phenomena in a lab, making strange things happen, like swirling fog, levitating objects, and objects shooting off at high speed. Of course, there is the ever-popular methane bubble theory. Is it me, or is the methane bubble theory to Bermuda Triangle like the weather balloon theory is to UFO investigations? For those of you who've never heard of this fun little theory, the idea is that there are pockets of methane under the seafloor that, on occasion, let loose some methane gas that then mixes with the water, making it less...
I mean, I will say it's like the swamp gas, weather balloon kind of thing. But there's things in the, there's things that can happen on the surface of the earth that will cause your compass to mess up. Like the Bermuda Triangle stuff really cut back once our technology advanced to where we had like GPS and stuff. All of a sudden these things stopped happening.
Less dense. The less dense water is not dense enough to hold up the ship, which then sinks. Now, I don't argue with the fact that there are methane deposits under the seafloor.
Yeah, I like her layout and stuff. I like the lighting and the candles and, yeah. Even the heart of the ocean necklace.
There are many of them mapped all over the world. And if a ship should accidentally float over one of these pockets at the wrong time, they certainly would sink pretty fast. But so fast that they don't have time to send a mayday? Why haven't we heard about this being a factor in missing ships anywhere else? And even so, that doesn't explain the missing airplanes. Now that we've covered the terrestrial ideas, let's talk about some non-terrestrial ideas. One of the first
Let's get weird now. We're gonna get weird. Let's do it.
Things I always think about are vortices. Several pilots talk about flying into cloud formations that sound exactly like what you would think a vortex would look like. But
sounds exactly like what you would think a vortex looks like. Come on now.
Fortunately, we have nothing else to go on. No one except the pilots have ever seen them, and our science isn't advanced enough to know if these things occur naturally. So if vortices are swallowing planes and ships, it's kind of like the perfect murder where the bullet made of ice melts, so no evidence is left behind. But we do have eyewitnesses to plenty of UFOs.
Right, it's always vortexes. Oh, we're gonna get UFOs now and USOs.
And USO sightings. Would you believe me if I told you that the government might have something to do with them? I thought so. It just so happens that the Navy has an Area 51 all its own. Except this one has its own website. The Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center, or AUTEC, is a naval equipment and weapons testing facility located in Androstown in the Bahamas, right on the edge of the Bermuda Triangle. And there are plenty of people who will tell you that the number of UFO and USO, or unidentified submerged object, sightings have gone up dramatically since AUTEC has been around. So are some of these sightings due to some testing going on at AUTEC? Most likely, but not all of them. Back in the 1980s, Kurt Roulette is a member of the Coast Guard. It's night and his boat is patrolling.
But the thing with all of these triangles is that they're basically if you follow the shipping lanes. Oh my gosh, maybe I should pull up a map of that. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so let's see. Here we go. Perfect. Let's see if we can get zoomed in. Perfect. All right. This. Yeah, I got your ad. This is shiptraffic.net. All right. And it monitors the busiest shipping areas in the world. And if we zoom out, you can see that the Caribbean is quite heavily trafficked. And we can actually see all the ships that are just there right now. These are all ships that are alive in the Bermuda Triangle right now. It's crazy how once we can track them, they stop disappearing. What's that all about? Like, you can tell where everyone is right now. Got the Minerva Baltic, the Sinbad, the El Corqui, the Isla Bella, Alfred N. There's two ships there, and there's also the Energy Ariadne. I don't know how you say that. Time at the Navigator, and look at this coast. Look at this coast. They're talking about from Miami, right? So, whoosh, that encompasses everything you see here. All of this is subject to the Bermuda Triangle. All of this out here. All of this right here. Even all the way out to here. Lady K, Resolute, Atlantic Explorer, and the Island Pride. These are cruise ships that are in this alleged triangle. Oh yeah, we got some busyness out here too. Look at all this. All of this. All this traveling around the Bermuda Triangle. So, why did they stop disappearing? Yeah.
Off the shores of Androstown. He's on watch duty when his radar guy says that he sees a 3-mile wide island-sized mass appear out of nowhere on their radar where a landmass is not supposed to be. It's like something massive rising out of the water. For perspective, Manhattan is only 2.5 miles wide. About the same time, their compass starts going crazy.
Subsequently, at the same time, the compass began to swing wildly, completely out of control.
After about 3 minutes, the radar target.
So you got lost and you came on an island you weren't expecting. I get that, right? Oh no, there's 2 magnets. We'll say magnets one more time, and Dr. Tapioca Weasel should appear. I can't tell which conspiracy she's talking about, LOL. Weather machines, aliens, pick a lane. Right? It gets pretty wild. Yeah, do I think she'll cover ley lines? I think she does cover ley lines. I think I should cover ley lines, too, at some point. Ley lines do come in correlation with the haunted highways or whatever that I have listed there in the poll. That was a difficult poll. 3 points where 2 lines meet. Back to toe to toe. Let's go. That's Logan Fisher. One early morning, I saw 3 triangles in a star constellation that did not belong there. As I looked at the triangles, they started to move in geometric forms. You might also note that, Sandy says, you might also note Bermuda is out there with no big ships near it, straight off of the North Carolina coast. Were you looking through a kaleidoscope? Are we talking to John Lovell? Then they each speed out of sight in different directions. Maybe they were drones? I don't know. It's not off the Florida coast. No, it's not, yeah. Bermuda's way out there off North Carolina, but it's the northern point though. And it doesn't hug the US coast. Well, some people sometimes they'll say it does, but she said something earlier in the video about that. I was whistling Beethoven's 5th Symphony at the time it happened in Florida. I swear I'm not drinking, man. Okay, so you had a UFO experience. That's interesting. Unidentified flying objects, and they were triangles, which are popular sighting among ufologists. So yeah, I'm not trying to discredit you at all. I'd actually, if that's a true story, I'd like to know more about it.
Slowly evaporates, as if whatever was sitting on the surface is slowly sinking back down again, and the compass goes back to normal. Unfortunately, this happened at night, so Kurt can't actually see what the radar says is in front of them. But the event is actually entered into the ship's log as something that really happened.
And that's something that doesn't go into the log unless the captain takes it seriously.
So what I wonder if, like, is there a certain density for a fog bank that the equipment will pick it up as an island temporarily if it has a certain level of density or electromagnetic frequency coming off of it?
This next encounter is even more crazy. It's the evening of August 25th, 2013, when the crew of a United States Customs and Border Patrol plane is taking off for a routine mission in Agadir, Puerto Rico. They notice a strange pinkish light.
Yeah, it's very. And Sandy's got a point. It's very sandy off of this in this part of the ocean too. The bottom is often shifting, and you get up towards the outer banks and stuff, all the way up towards like Nantucket. Well, hell, all the way up towards Nova Scotia. If you want to talk about the Sargasso Sea, all these little sandy islands and sandbars and banks rising and falling. That's something that does happen. I don't know if it happens overnight, though.
Coming in from the northwest, so they turn on their thermal imaging camera to track it. What they see is a bit startling, to say the least. It looks like a metallic sphere flying around the airport. The sphere then heads out over the ocean.
We have UFO! First UFO. We'll have 19 minutes and 17 seconds before we get to UFOs. So we covered, and I appreciate covering all the potentially natural stuff like downdrafts and rogue waves and that kind of stuff. But we have to get into the weird because that's what we're here for.
Where it splashes down into the water and then comes back up a few seconds later. Then it splits into 2 separate spheres. After nearly 4 minutes of flying around, it vanishes. So I don't think anyone can argue that there are some
I've seen the sea eat 30 foot of berm in one storm, just saying. Yeah, like eating the sandbars, just munching them down. Haven't we covered lighthouse? Haven't we covered light over the ocean of NC? I do probably need to do some more UFO stuff. The last UFO video I did was about it was in CrypticCorner though. UFO stuff usually falls in CrypticCorner. There's the reason this is here is because a Bermuda Triangle is a wider theory. But I have sailed in many places in the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, that's our sailor too. Steph is a sailor. So, yeah. I'm glad to hear that you safely passed through the Bermuda Triangle. Did Steph disappear? Yeah, she was never seen again until now. She's actually speaking to us from beyond the triangle.
Mighty strange things happening in that area of the world. Can some of those events be explained by natural occurrences? Sure. Take the Ellen Austin. This one could very well just be folklore, because I'm not sure why a ship going from London to New York would sail as far south as Bermuda.
That was my thoughts on it too. I was like, why are you covering the ship if it's not even in the Bermuda Triangle?
And since the ocean current is going the opposite direction, maybe ships dipped a little further south so they didn't have to fight it the whole trip. Who knows? The disappearance of the lighthouse keepers could be explained by her.
There you go. That's a good question for you, Steph. Like, when you are sailing east to west across the Atlantic from London to New York, do you go south towards Bermuda just to follow the currents? Let me know, because I mean the path looks way out of the way to me, but yeah, if the sea carries you through there and it's faster, then it's faster.
Hurricane Anna that swept through the area between August 1st and 2nd. Of course, my first question would be, why would they go outside in a hurricane? Considering how frequently these hurricanes hit the area, I am sure this was not their first rodeo. But let's talk about Flight 19. To me, this one's not so easy to dismiss.
Flight 19 might be my favorite of all the Bermuda Triangle stories, though.
Official explanation is that Lieutenant Taylor had some kind of mental break that caused him to get confused about where he was.
On the pull, the haunted highway has pulled ahead of the Antarctica colonies. So yeah, if you want Antarctica colonies, I'm telling you, it's a crazy story, right? And it involves Polynesians and Telefuegans. You're gonna love it. As far as the haunted highways, yes, it's gonna dip heavily into ley lines and earth energies. So if that's what you're into, go ahead and vote for that one. Now, if neither one of those appeal to you and you like these disappearances, mysterious disappearances and stuff for the Weird With It topics, the lighthouse disappearances are... Well, the best thing about lighthouse disappearances is how all of them are like almost the same. Like the same circumstances. But we have so many more topics to cover. Get your vote in before the poll closes. I'm closing the poll at the end of this video. So she's at 20 minutes. She's got about 10 more minutes to go. And with my commentary, that's usually doubled. So you got about 20 minutes.
He is responsible for leading his squad of 14 men to their probable deaths. Not necessarily a far-fetched conclusion. I mean, he thinks he sees the Keys when he's way north of there. And if he thinks he's over the Keys, how does he not know how to get to Fort Lauderdale from there? But the theory goes that he's all turned around, so he accidentally leads the squadron out east into the Atlantic, where they run out of fuel and have to ditch into rough waters. And some people will explain the fact that they stayed together as a group by saying that a pilot always follows their mission leader, which is probably true in a real...
I think that's probably true, that they that if the squad leader says, hey, we got to ditch, that they all ditch together. Let's see. wouldn't that be going against the Gulf Stream? I would think you would want to stay farther north, but I don't know. If she went south, she'd be traveling with it, Logan, says Sandy. One gateway to have the compass go haywire is to steer barotically. You might have to explain that. I'm not sure what that term means. I'm not a sailor. It goes clockwise. Yeah, am I going clock? Yeah, okay, it looks right. That's going backwards for you guys, though. Yeah, so clockwise is like that. I had to figure out what, since I'm mirrored. So, if it goes clockwise, it's going to be the northern portion of it is going to flow easterly.
World situation. But for this kind of exercise, if one person gets something wrong, they will all fail. So mistakes, even by the flight leader, are sometimes corrected by the other pilots. But since the Navy had no real information as to what really happened, except the sparse radio contact, Lieutenant Taylor's family fought the official findings. They argued that since the cause of the accident is unknown, there's no way to know if it was anyone's fault.
That is kind of true, though. I mean, if I was in this guy's family, I'd be like, I don't want my grandpa to be held responsible for the disappearing of these 14 people if we don't know what happened to them. If we don't know that he was actually responsible for their disappearance. It could have been equipment failure. It could have been a lot of different factors.
Lieutenant Taylor's family won, officially clearing his name. The planes never been recovered. Tangent warning: in 1996 and 1992, wreckage from Avengers like the ones from Flight 19 were found off the coast of Florida, but couldn't be conclusively identified as pieces of Flight 19's planes. In 1991, wreckage from 5 planes were found, but engine serial numbers proved they were not from that flight. Those 5 planes were tracked down and found to have gone in the ocean on 5 different days within 1.5 miles of each other. A deep dive into Navy records discovered that around that time, the time right after World War II, if a plane was declared unfit to fly or obsolete, the Navy would just ditch them in the ocean. Huh.
Well, that's kind of that does help with coral reef building, though. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but like sinking ships or planes or things like that in a area of the ocean actually cultivates a coral reef and helps the ecosystem.
Now, one very common thread in a lot of these accounts is reports of compass malfunctions. Many debunkers will tell you, oh, that's a natural phenomena called compass variation. So there's true north, and then there's magnetic north. Most of the time, compasses point to magnetic north. The difference isn't much, but it's enough to put you off course. So skeptics will tell you that the Bermuda Triangle area is one of those areas that point to true north, which naturally confuses.
Yeah. So all the major oceans are essentially a gyre. The only one that isn't a gyre is, well, it's kind of a gyre in itself too, but is the Southern Ocean, and it goes around the globe. But the Atlantic swirls in the north and south, 2 separate gyres, and the Pacific swirls in the north and the south in 2 separate gyres, and the Indian Ocean only has 1 gyre, I believe. But at the center of all of them, there are big garbage patches, which are man-made and thousands of feet deep, just of junk floating in the ocean. It's disgusting.
This is whoever is reading the compass. The only problem with that theory is that it's not true. Even the U.S. Navy says so, giving a statement that says,
It has been inaccurately claimed that the Bermuda Triangle is one of the two places on Earth at which a magnetic compass points towards true north. Normally, a compass will point toward magnetic north. The difference between the two is known as compass variation. Although in the past, this compass variation did affect the Bermuda Triangle region due to fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field, this has apparently not been the case since the 19th century.
It's actually called the agonic line, the area where magnetic north and true north are the same direction, and it moves over time as magnetic north moves over time. And right now, that line is over the Gulf of Mexico. So all those reports of malfunctioning compasses...
The Mexican Triangle now, the Gulf of Mexico Triangle. Can we do that?
...have nothing to do with compass variation. They are not natural occurrences.
Yeah, but
since we are debunking the debunkers, let's talk about another frequently repeated line of reasoning that goes something like this.
What about the Beradically, if you steer Beradically? I don't know what that means, but my sailor in my side chat says that can cause the compass to malfunction.
A check of the records at the well-known insurance company Lloyd's of London by the editor of Fate magazine in 1975 showed that the Bermuda Triangle area of the Atlantic was no more dangerous or accident-prone than any other area, and the Coast Guard records confirmed the same thing. However, Lloyd's of London is not in the business of insuring small things like yachts and small aircraft. So none of those reports are going to show up in the records of Lloyd's of London.
Yeah, but literally insurers will go off of the folklore because that will affect the market. Even if this place is actually more dangerous, if it has a reputation for being dangerous, it doesn't matter. It's like a red car. Red cars are not more dangerous than any other car, but the insurance premiums on a red car are higher because people who drive red cars tend to drive faster. So it's correlation, right?
The Coast Guard is actually a better source for that kind of information since they report on all calls, no matter what type of vessel. The Coast Guard breaks up the country into districts. The Bermuda Triangle area is District 7. Let's compare District...
Oh no, Steph, I'm just glad you're here. I'm so happy to see ya. I got a lot of my favorite people in the chat today. Love you guys. Shortest route is Great Circles, which is northerly, while north routes in the age of sail were south to south of the Canaries to the trades and the northerly route bag. Any large bodies of water will do, Brie. They all have a story. That's true.
District 7 to District 1, which is the New England area, because both districts get about the same amount of calls for assistance each year. But the number of disappearances in District 7 is far higher than District 1. And here's the next question.
That's because that Nova Scotia Coast Guard system that they got up there is badass. The rescue, the New England, the systems they have in place to make sure, because, I mean, you can say that, oh yeah, there's not as many wrecks, but there were. They just littered the whole New England coast with lighthouses and radio stations because they wanted to prepare for the devastation that ocean up there can wreak on the sailors. Now, in the Bermuda Triangle, there's less infrastructure there because it's mostly just open ocean. So yeah, their rescue services are not going to be necessarily as efficient as the coastal ones of New England and Maine. Just my thoughts on it.
Disappearances happened in fair weather. That's what makes the disappearances in the triangle.
The prawns The prawns disappeared from District 9. Love it.
So mysterious. The high percentage of people going missing when there is no storm to blame. So here's the thing. It's not just that boats and planes disappear. That happens for all kinds of reasons. Storms, pirates, maybe even methane bubbles. The Bermuda Triangle remains a mystery because of those cases that have no explanation.
See, she always sticks to the methane bubbles because it's the one that sounds the most ridiculous, but rogue waves are probably a big part of the problem in the Bermuda Triangle. Rogue waves, and also, this is hurricane, the sea. This is the ocean where hurricanes are. They come through the Bermuda Triangle and move north into the Sargasso, almost uniformly, unless they dip completely west into the Gulf.
Like these. On November 3rd, 1978, Irving Rivers, a pilot for Eastern Caribbean Airways, leaves St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands in a Piper Navajo. Irving is an experienced pilot and is flying alone to St. Thomas to pick up some passengers. Visibility is good, temperatures.
Yeah, how do pirates attack a plane though? I want to be a plane pirate. Like throw hooks out onto the other plane, attach yourself to it. Like sort of like one of those refueling ships, except for you what'd you say, board the ship, board the plane.
Are warm. It is a beautiful day. Radio communication during the flight is fine, and as he nears the airport in St. Thomas, the plane is cleared for landing. The controller looks out the window and sees the plane's red and green lights blinking about a mile out as it makes its approach. The controller turns his attention to another plane that's taking off. When he looks back toward Irving's plane, the controller can't see the plane's lights anymore, and it's disappeared from the radar. An emergency search effort is launched.
How does a rogue wave attack a plane? Touche. Depends on how low they're flying, I guess. Rogue waves can be pretty high. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure variations too. I don't know. There's a lot of factors that are going to come into play.
But nothing, not even wreckage, is ever found. December 22nd, 1967, a 23-foot luxury cabin cruiser yacht named Witchcraft leaves Miami with its captain, Dan Barak, and his friend, Father Patrick Horgan. The two guys just want...
You put a Father Patrick Horgan on a plane called Witchcraft and expected everything to go fine.
Want to go out like a mile offshore so they can enjoy the fantastic view of the Christmas lights in Miami. However, once they get there...
I have heard the Christmas lights in Miami are fantastic when seen from sea, but...
Dan puts in a call to the Coast Guard to let them know that he hit something. There doesn't seem to be any major damage, but they would like some assistance just in case. The Coast Guard gets going right away and reaches the Witchcraft's location in 19 minutes. But the spot where the boat should be is deserted, with no signs of any boats having been stranded or ever having been there at all. This particular boat comes equipped with life jackets, lifeboats, flares, and distress signal beacons. But none of those life-saving devices are apparently used. Over the next few days, the Coast Guard searches hundreds of square miles of the ocean, but nothing from the ship has ever been found. Or how about this one? Halloween, 1991. This one is a little...
From Witchcraft to Halloween, here we go.
Further east of the triangle's usual boundaries, but I think it is worth noting. The pilot, John Verdi, and his trained...
We're leaving the triangle again?
Co-pilot Paul Lucaris are out over the Gulf of Mexico heading toward Tallahassee, Florida in a Grumman Cougar jet. John calls the flight center to request a higher altitude so they can fly.
It's on the other side of Florida. It's not just a little bit east of the Bermuda Triangle. It's in the wrong body of water.
Over the thunderstorm that has snuck in front of them. Flight center says, no problem. And the turbojet starts ascending from its 25,000 feet to its new assigned altitude of 29,000 feet. Perfect. all seems normal as they climb in altitude, breaking through the cloud cover into the beautiful, sun-drenched cloud tops. Flight control waits patiently for the cougar to finish its climb, tracking it on radar the whole time, until the cougar's radar marker just fades away.
The aliens got him. It's always aliens. Aliens are the answer. If you sail due east from Marblehead, you will hit Nova Scotia.
Center tries to hail either John or Paul on the radio, but no one responds, and no SOS is received to indicate that they had any problems. But the truly mystifying part is that the radar also does not see the Grumman cougar descending, as in falling into the sea. There's no sudden loss of altitude. They just disappear from the radar while they're climbing, like they just faded away.
Maybe they climbed too high and drifted off into space.
The storm hampers the search for a short while, but when searchers do reach the area, no trace of the plane or its passengers is ever recovered. So, as long as boats and planes keep disappearing for absolutely unexplained reasons, the Bermuda Triangle will continue to be real.
The story you just told us, and I think about a third of the stories that you've told us so far, were completely outside of the range of the Bermuda Triangle. Do you have stories that actually take place in the Bermuda Triangle anymore? I mean, some of these did, but the majority of this, what you were talking about, is stuff in the Gulf of Mexico and the Sargasso, not the Bermuda Triangle.
Every time I read...
Alright, so, and this channel is, again, the in-between. She does a lot of, well, I'll check and see if she does ley lines. I don't like to cover the same channel over and over again, though. I like to bounce around. It's, doesn't look like really that there's anything specific to ley lines. We got Wendigo. Of course, you gotta have the Wendigo. But I really did like this ship tracking thing. I like finding stuff like this. Yeah, there's this area out here is pretty empty. But the Bermuda Triangle is supposed to go from Miami to Bermuda down to, was it Barbados? Yeah. And that puts all of this stuff in the shipping lane. You can see the southern, like coming off of Africa here, Cape Verde, going towards the Atlantic, or towards the Caribbean. Yeah, I really did like this. Look at all this up here and freaking the Arctic. Love it. And there's stuff in Australia. There's a triangle here. So there's a gyre here. I believe it goes like this. Yeah, so it makes a rotation like that. And then there's one down here that goes like this. And then this one goes just across, right? Just persistently, and that's why this area of the ocean is so dangerous to cross through right here. Right here. It's so dangerous because it's the narrowest portion of the Southern Ocean. It's kind of a bottleneck where the seas get really rough. And there's a gyre out here for the Pacific and a gyre down here for the South Pacific. And then the Indian Ocean has its own gyre. Yeah. And these are, I mean, these aren't live. There's a couple hours out, but it shows you where things were. Anyway, super cool piece of technology. But what do you guys think? I finally covered the Bermuda Triangle. Let's end the poll right now. Y'all are wanting to talk about haunted highways and ley lines next week, and I'm here for it. So we will find something for that for you. No problem at all. Thank you for joining me as we get a little weird with the Bermuda Triangle today. If you have any thoughts of your own regarding the triangle or the legends around it, leave it in the comments down below. Let me know. If you disagree with my assessment that the triangle is actually not all that special in comparison to any other region of the ocean that's heavily trafficked. If you disagree with that, let me know. Tell me why you think that's true. But please remember to be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time. All right, live from the Hive, people. Don't go. Don't go. I'm telling you, because up next is really what we've been waiting for.
We've all seen the classic.
It's what I've been waiting for all day. This is the most exciting part of the show for me. So stick around for Bree's Bestiary, because I got a ghost story for you. You like a ghost story? I'll see you over there.
Hello and welcome. Godless Granny is about a lot of things. I talk about any issue that affects me or on which I have strong opinions. Most frequently, that's religious issues, women's issues, transgender issues, and political issues. I believe in social justice and equality for all. I feel that everyone has a right to believe what they want, but that right doesn't absolve you of criticism of your beliefs. Thus, I criticize both outlying religious ideas and mainstream ideology. I welcome theists to discuss or debate their issues with me live on stream. Contact me on Twitter if you'd like to do that. I was a Christian for 42 years. In my last decade as a believer, I became increasingly liberal, seeing that as being more consistent with biblical ideas. But eventually, the cognitive dissonance between liberal thought and certain parts of the Bible brought me to evolve my theology. I still hung on to the inerrancy of the Bible and continued to look for ways to interpret the Bible to fit reality. But when it was proven to me that the biblical flood did not happen, thank you Aaron Ra, Vice Rhino, and Pelagia, there was no longer anywhere to go. I had to let go of inerrancy. But without the Bible, my faith had no foundation, and then I left the faith. I have since met people of faith who reject inerrancy. I find this a more honest faith, but I also find it a purely human construct. Why believe in a God if you have to make up the God and what the God is all about? I now criticize the very religious beliefs that I held for decades, as I now realize that they not only do not originate from a God that loves me, but that they were dangerous in that they limited me. They limited me as a person by discouraging thought and learning. It restricted my relationships and my ability to develop myself as a person. I hope to do several things here. I hope to reach others of my generation, as we are the primary people that are still holding on to this outdated ideology. Second, I hope to reach the younger generation, imploring them not to follow in my footsteps. And third, I hope to show how the younger generation who has already left the faith can reach their parents. What arguments did I find convincing that will likely convince their parents? So come on in, let's have a chat.
We're talking about is licking toads to get high. Now, for years, various Indians of Central America have ingested the hallucinogenic secretions of toads, but that practice, according to the Drug Enforcement Administration, is against the law. At first glance, the toad does not look like a criminal.
Lick the toad, lick the toad, lick the toad, lick the toad. They call him Narco Toad. On the street, he's also known by his alias, Bufo Marinus. He and his cousin, Bufo Alvarius, are dangerous dudes. They deal in a mind-scrambling substance that defends against intruders. It all comes from a little gland behind the toad's head.
When bitten, the toad secretes a milky white fluid from its parotid glands that can poison its attacker, making them extremely ill and sometimes causing cardiac arrest.
Watch whatever crap comes on next. Coming up next!
Live from the Hive.
The organization took to their Facebook page last week to caution visitors not to lick the Sonoran desert toad. Don't lick it. If you're wondering why anyone would want to do that, well, let's explain. Apparently, this particular species of toad secretes a psychedelic toxin that leads to hallucinations if ingested, but can also make humans really sick, leaving people incapacitated for up to 30 minutes. Well, the NPS didn't say if a particular incident prompted their public service announcement, but a recent report from the New York Times says there has been an increased demand for the poison recently. Perhaps that's the reason the Park Service felt it necessary to remind visitors not to lick toads.
Ew, gross, man. You okay?
Whoa, everything's so significant. Dude, you gotta try this.
Not even. It's got your germs on it.
Not this end.
Oh, I can see the air. And you know what else?
The hallucinogenic compound of bufotoxin sometimes do create a feeling of airiness or flying and things like that, and we believe that the witches flying around on broomsticks is probably due to the toad component of the witch's brew.
While the psychedelic bufotine has been detected in dozens of toad species, Bufo alvarius is the only amphibian known to biosynthesize its O-methyl homolog, 5-MeO-DMT. The toad's neck and limbs carry numerous protuberant glands marked by pores through which venom is excreted from subcutaneous lobules that contain the enzyme responsible for biosynthetic conversion of bufotenine to 5-MeO-DMT, in addition to the production of other tryptamines and cardiotoxic steroids.
Ooh, check it out, man. The licking toad. Yeah, licking toad, man. Lick the toad.
The National Park Service says if you see a toad in the wild, keep your tongue in your mouth.
That substance is bitter and foul tasting. It blocks nerve transmission. It can affect the heart. It also can get you high.
Nothing. Here we go. Yeah.
Homer?
Huh?
These are crystallized secretions from a toad. A substance like this killed 4 people in Australia last year. In fact, possessing the secretion with intent to use it to get high is a federal offense.
In order to do any legal action against a person, we'd have to prove drug intent, that you, like conspiracy to lick a toad or conspiracy to sell a toad to lick or something of that sort.
Anything yet? Are you sure you're licking right?
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's supposed to pack an awesome buzz.
If you want to get one of these toads, forget it. The zoo tells us that Bufo marinus is restricted in California. The toad has been introduced in places like Florida, and it's done a lot of damage there. It's also a potentially dangerous toad, and certainly one you would never want to lick. Sylvia?
Never.
Ever. Ever.
No.
Okay, thanks.
All right, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to a special episode of Bree's Bestiary. Because today it's not just a bestiary story; it's a ghost story. Do you guys like ghost stories? So, a lot of y'all know I moved out here to the American Southwest. I'm currently in the Chihuahua Desert, which is not the desert that we're visiting today, but it's pretty damn close. Regardless, this desert is rife with ghost stories. But this ghost story is a true story, so makes it kind of stand out. Do you all know about the red ghost of Arizona? Let's see. Here we go. Let's make it happen.
We've all seen the classic cowboy riding his trusty steed into the setting sun. But imagine instead that the horse is a camel. And imagine as well that instead of a loving bond between animal and rider, an all-out spitting hatred of one another. That's how you get ghosts, and that's exactly what happened. Today we're looking at the phantom camels of Arizona's desert region, here at the Insomnia Society.
It's time for the
It was becoming a beautiful 1883 spring morning above Eagle Creek in the southeastern part of the Arizona territories. 2 families lived in the area, and the men had gone off to check on the sheep. Geronimo and his Apache band had been doing raids in the area, and they had to go check on the livestock. Though this meant that their 2 wives and children would be left unguarded at the house. Sometime before noon, one of the women went to get water from a spring that was several yards away in the willows. A few minutes after she left, the dog began to bark viciously. The other woman came running to the window, and she was terrified by what she saw. It was huge, red, and being ridden by the devil as it passed by the window. The woman, in pure terror, threw the lock on the door and sat in hysterical prayer until nightfall.
When the men returned later, they found her and heard her story.
Imagine having a panic attack because a camel ran past your window. But, you know, she didn't know. Maybe she never didn't even know what a camel was. These are frontier people. And the frontier is full of weird tales of weird creatures. So I guess I can understand being, like, terrified by seeing a camel, but...
Since there had been no word of the other woman...
But these people depend a lot on the Bible, so if you... I mean, there's camels in the Bible? I don't know.
They lit torches and ran to the spring. There, they found hoof prints in the mud, twice the size of a horse, and the woman who had sadly been caught under them. And clinging to the branches of the willows were strands of long red hair. The story was so unbelievable.
I love that animation. I want to watch that again. Hold on.
That the coroner from Solomonsville held an inquest.
I'm watching it again.
And clinging to the branches of the willows were strands of long red hair. The story was so unbelievable that the coroner from Solomonsville held an inquest upon hearing it. He had feared that the family might have had some part in her passing, but after a study of the remarkably sized footprints and the state of the body, he allowed a verdict of a casualty in some unknown manner.
Oh.
This was then reported in the Mojave County Miner, a weekly news.
Me too. Yeah, I'm in the Chihuahua too, and the north. I'm in the northeastern portion. Yeah, the Mojave is like further west. The Mojave is like Arizona and California. I've camped in the Mojave before.
Newspaper in Kingman, Arizona. Thus began the legend of the Red Ghost. Only a few days later, 2 prospectors were camping near Chase's Creek, a tributary of the San Francisco River.
Those ghosts were pink, I guess, and that's the English thing, because in other languages, pink is just light red.
And several miles northeast of Eagle Creek. They were sleeping soundly when their tent came crashing down around them. A loud scream was let off, not least of which by the prospectors, and they barely had time to entangle themselves as a huge, impossibly tall horse galloped into the woods. They raced back to the mining camp and returned with several miners. On the creek bed, they found huge hoof marks, and in the woods where it retreated, strands of long red hair. Even though the miners vouched for them.
This camel is shedding all over the place. He needs to be groomed.
And the details matched the previous account, the story was still seen as skeptical. Now, the reason it was seen as skeptical was from this. Being on the frontier, it was popular to use tall tales and campfire stories to pass the time. And upon hearing of this new mysterious red ghost creature, a few other reports emerged that weren't so reputable. One man had seen it turn invisible right before his eyes, and another had seen one attack and eat a grizzly bear.
Did you see a camel eating a grizzly bear?
In one of these, a man followed the creature, tracking it to the edge of Black River. This is where it jumped from one side of the cliff to the other in a single leap, leading him to losing its trail. Though the paper was quick to point out that this man had also claimed to see a flying bear and a mountain of gold. That's why, about a month after the woman's passing, when rancher and explorer named Cyrus Hamblin had his sighting, it wasn't taken seriously. He had been out by Salt River, some 80 miles northwest of Eagle Creek. While searching for stray cattle,
we'll get to the redness before the story's over, I promise. We'll explain why it's red. They need the carpet to match the drapes.
Climbed a ridge to get a view of the area. Across the ravine was a tableland covered with heavy shrubbery, and he could barely make out a large red body walking through it. Although frightened by the creature, he resolved to stay and take a look. It made its way out into a clearer area, and his nerves settled a bit. He realized he was looking at nothing more than a camel. Red as blood, but a camel. Stumbling across a camel in everyday America might be a shock for some, but Hamblin was an experienced outdoorsman of the time. He knew they lived in the nearby desert, but...
And then part of this video is going to talk about the Camel Legion too, so don't you worry, we're going to get to it. As promised back in October, I would get to the Camel Legion.
Had never seen one travel out this far. Though that experience he had didn't help him for what he saw next. There was something odd about the camel besides its coloring. There was something on its back, something that looked incredibly like the not-so-fresh body of a person. When he returned, most diminished his tale of a skeleton rider, even given his expertise, and said he had merely seen the camel's hump. Only a few weeks after Hamblin's encounter, 5 prospectors were
Well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see if there's a skeleton rider.
When they noticed the beast grazing on a mesa. They too had seen something on its back, and to get a better look, the 5 crept forward until they finally had a good angle on it. They lined up their sights, but by either the mystical power of the red ghost, or the terrible aim of the prospectors, the men fired and the creature rushed off, unharmed. Although it left behind a gift for them. As it ran...
Maybe it fell in some red mud. There's a lot of creeks around here with red dirt. I think it might be iron oxide. Yeah, it could be covered. It could have went through an a dust storm or something that gave it that red color. Miles of empty-ass land just for cattle to graze and wander. It's crazy. Grazing land is wild. Yeah, and it's all free range, too. I've been out there. That would be an explanation, AR.
Ran off, something fell from its back. The prospectors rushed over to it and found a human skull, not entirely picked clean. With this gruesome treasure, the legend of the Red Ghost was solidified, and it wasn't done yet. A few days after the prospectors' encounter, a group of teamsters were camped beside an abandoned back road. The whole
now it's a headless skeleton on a red camel.
Crew woke to a terrible scream, and the huge creature knocked over 2 carriages, making a mess of the area. The men estimated the creature to be 30 feet tall, swooping down on huge black wings, with its landing making the ground shake on impact.
Well, camels famously with their wings swooping down.
Because of which, men and mules dove for the cover of the woodline, some even making for the river. Though later, the more...
Now, camels are super freaking tall. You get like, what, dromedaries, they reach like 9 feet tall. Maybe a little bit taller than that. Yes, I'm very woke. Definitely. But 30 feet tall is, I mean, it might seem that way to people doing a caravan across the desert in the middle of the night.
Exaggerated parts of this encounter would later be explained by the several casks of alcohol that they were transporting. The next day help came, and in their search they found the same hoofprints and strands of long red hair. But the camel was yet to be captured. Almost a year after the original sightings, a farmhand at a ranch east of Phoenix was making his way home around evening. He happened to ride past a branding corral. It was only used during certain times and should have been empty, but oddly enough it wasn't. He moved towards the corral on his horse to investigate. The creature in the pen turned with a snort and charged after its new visitors. It just so happened that the man had his lariat ready and lassoed it around the animal's neck. He had only just done it when he noticed what he had lassoed wasn't a horse.
How do you get a lasso all the way around this thing's neck and not realize it's not a horse? How you gonna lasso that camel? And then it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know you were a camel. I thought you were a horse.
But a really angry
How's that
camel.
happen?
His horse had no chance to bolt and reared onto its hind legs, pirouetting like it would to avoid a roped cow. Though one of those may have gotten by, the camel didn't. It collided with the man and his horse, sending them sprawling to the ground. The camel stampeded off, but in its trail of dust he could see the figure of a man, just lacking a head, strapped to the camel's back. This could have been the end of the tale, but almost 9 years after the last sighting, the Red Ghost returned for a final time. The Mojave County miner reported the incident on February 25th, 1893. Mizzou Hastings had a small home above a gold mine. He woke one morning to find the camel grazing in his turnip patch. Not one to let agricultural offenses go unpunished, he took out his rifle and put an end to the legend of the Red Ghost. Upon examining the animal, he confirmed that even though no body or saddle remained, the camel's skin was covered in a network of scars made by knotted rawhide strips. These no doubt would have cut into the camel and are what gave it its red color. So,
aw, isn't that sad that it was just there were like lesions all over its body that were causing that from them tying that guy to the top of it?
even though the legend of the red ghost came to an end, at least he had shed the thing that had made him so angry. Alright, the whole camels in North America thing will be addressed in a second, but first we have to take a look at what was on the camel's back. From the reports and evidence found, it was very clearly a human skeleton, but how did it get there? The original speculation was that a traveler in desperate need strapped himself to the camel hoping it would take them somewhere with water. Another theory claims that it was an army soldier who had a fear of learning to ride and was asked to be lashed to the harness when the camel bolted, causing him to get stuck in the ropes. The agreed upon theory today is even more depressing than
Sinister. I wouldn't say depressing, I'd say it's sinister what happened to this gentleman.
that, if you can believe it. From the way the man was tied, it was deemed impossible that he could have done it himself. So, what they think happened was some unfortunate person got ambushed by a gang in the area, and after they were finished, and having a spare camel on hand, strapped the poor soul on and sent the camel off. And here's why there were camels traveling through the deserts of America in the 1800s. The Camel Corps began in March 1855
Camel Corps time! This is my favorite part about this. I love learning about the
by
Camel
President
Corps.
Franklin Pierce's Secretary of War, a man named Jefferson Davis.
Yes, that Jefferson Davis.
Plan was to use camels to explore America's frontier, as they could handle the heat better than the horses could. When Davis finally got money for the project, he sent Major Henry C. Wayne and Lieutenant David D. Porter to the Eastern Mediterranean in the Navy store ship the Supply to buy the first camels. After a long journey, they returned, loaded with 70 camels that they thought would be great for the Army. Wayne's friend, Lieutenant Edward F. Beale, was one of the first to test the camels. After several
And
months,
the U.S. Army wasn't the only people to do this. Australia also pulled camels down, and they're still there, roaming free across the outback.
of training with them, he surveyed what is now the western half of the famous American Highway 66. He noticed that in nearly any southwest terrain, 3 camels could carry on their backs as much as 6 mules could pull in a wagon, and cover the ground nearly twice as fast. Further,
Because camels are freaking strong. Camels are incredibly strong. There's actually a great video about the Camel Corps from Knowing Better, too. That's a kind of a bigger channel, but they did a great video on it a few years back. And, yeah, I didn't want to use that one since it was way super long.
Furthermore, when the expedition forded the Colorado River from Arizona into California, all the camels
Camel Corps is where you wear a backpack and spit at people.
swam it with ease, but a dozen horses and mules were swept away by the current. And as a final test, at the end of the journey, Beale took a dozen camels north from Los Angeles into the Sierra Nevada, and found them able to adapt to the high altitudes in cold weather. All this finally convinced the War Department. In December 1858, John B. Floyd, who had succeeded Jefferson Davis,
I'm going to go total Camel Corps from now on. I'm into it. Let's do it. I'm going to find me a backpack, and I'm going to work on my spitting techniques.
as Secretary of War, formally declared the experiment successful and recommended to Congress the importation of 1,000 more camels. By that time, however, Congress was too busy with the preliminaries to the Civil War to give the matter any consideration, though this might have been a really good thing for the camels because of what comes next. Sadly, the people of the Old West weren't always as kind to their animals as depicted in the movies. One loaded too much onto a camel, and it turned and spat in his face. He went to strike the camel with a club, and the animal easily dodged, releasing a shriek and bit the man's arm.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with a camel. I've seen videos of a camel picking up a donkey and throwing it. Camels are, like, incredibly strong.
Thus started the war between camels and men. The camel's prickly attitude made it loathed by all those assigned to work with them. Unlike the camel drivers of the North African and Asiatic areas, who knew to treat...
That's not even a dromedary. That's a Bactrian camel. There's a few ways to tell. Mostly I can tell from its shaggier coat, the shape of its muzzle, and the location of its brow ridges.
Treat them with respect. The men of the frontier's short tempers didn't blend with that of the camels. Unlike the horses, mules, and cattle that they were accustomed to.
Back-trained camels are the two-hump camel, by the way.
The camels had ways to defend themselves when they were treated badly. Major Wayne and Lieutenants Beale and Porter seemed to have been very nearly the only Americans who understood and valued the animals. And when war neared, all three were transferred to duty in the eastern part of the country. Beale had written a letter to Floyd before his departure, writing, "The Americans of the class who seek such employment are totally unfit for it, being for the most part harsh, cruel, and impatient with the animals entrusted to their care. He asked instead that they have Mexicans handle the creatures, as they would be kinder." But Beale was soon transferred.
So, what I'm picking up from this is that Americans have always been jerks. Have we always been jerks? That sounds about right. Throughout my lifetime, most people are. As a country in general, we have been. Like to the rest of the world.
His suggestion was ignored. With his departure, the experiment ended, although it took the army a while to officially end it. When he left, the camels were scattered among military outposts from Texas to California, though the men left in charge had no want of them. They would often set up escapes and let the camels off into the desert. When the project was formally abandoned in 1863,
so cute though. Look how cute camels are with their floofiness.
Those left to be auctioned off in California numbered only 30 odd. From there, camels were seen for a while in the deserts in the USA. Some say the last authentic sighting was reported by a crew surveying the international boundary.
Oh look, I didn't know that there was two different, that they had the Bactrian and dromedary emojis separated.
Between Arizona and Mexico in 1901. Others say that an Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe crew told the truth about seeing one near Wickenburg, Arizona in 1913. And there are reports of a camel stampeding horses near Banning, California, 25 miles west of Palm Springs in 1929. And finally, in 1941, there was a report from the territory east of the Salton Sea. Some are convinced that they're still out there. And if you're lucky enough while crossing the deserts of America's West, you too might see a camel.
I'll keep my eyes open. I want to see a camel.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss another episode of the Insomnia Society. It gets weird out there, so stay safe, guys.
I enjoyed your content. I'm going to subscribe. Thank you, Insomnia Society. That was good stuff. All right. Camels. All right, music stopped. All right. I was just gonna dance for a minute. Camels. I need to do a bestiary about llamas too. Because camels actually came from North America. That's the cool thing. They went extinct here. Horses, too. Horses and camels are North American animals that migrated across the Bering Land Bridge into Asia and then into Africa and Europe as well. But they died out in North America, ironically enough, and then we brought them back when the Europeans colonized the New World. But the North American biome is actually lacking some megafauna that could help replenish the ecosystems with their large browsers do that. They seeds stick to them, they clear areas, they spread fertilizer. It's just all around a good thing. Horses and camels are good for an ecosystem. Even in North America, like the ecosystem we have right now is for lack of camels, for lack of horses, for lack of mammoths. So I'm into rewilding, and I'll be talking about more rewilding and stuff too. But in the Americas, a group of camels went south instead of across the Bering Land Bridge. The ones that went south, they became the llamas and guanacos and alpacas. And the ones that went, of course, across the land bridge became the dromedaries and Bactrians. But I need to do some coverage on the South American camelids at some point. I have done I think I did an episode on asses recently. Been all over the Wickenburg, Arizona area. No camels. Both the 2-leg and 4-leg variety of ass, John. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to call the show here. It's been freaking fabulous hanging out with you, about 15 minutes early, but that's okay. I am going to be, of course, back with you next week, live from the Hive. And this Thursday, we have the transpositions, and I think we have Ginny Morgan coming on to be the guest. She was going to be the guest last week, but the time slot was a little later than she had expected. But so she's going to come back this week and join us for the panel. And we have a few other people lined up too, so I cannot wait to get things going over there again. It's been a whirlwind in the last couple of weeks, so I just like to get back to some normalcy. Anyway, I love you all for sticking around. Remember to be kind and take care. And, we'll see you next time.
With all the noise, pseudoscience, and political rhetoric clogging the airwaves about transgender people, it can be difficult to understand what's really happening and what's really true. Good news, everyone! Welcome to The Transpositions, your compass in the rugged landscape of transgender issues. Here, we strive to be the beacon of authenticity, providing a platform that amplifies the voices and experiences of the transgender community. From breaking news to in-depth features to breaking down the real science, we are committed to fostering understanding, empathy, and empowerment for all individuals across the gender spectrum. Join us as we navigate the complexities, celebrate the triumphs, and advocate for the rights of transgender people worldwide. Together, we can redefine boundaries, challenge stereotypes, and champion inclusivity. Subscribe today.